Every horror story you've heard about Annabelle starts the same way. A haunted doll locked behind glass, the museum guards never blinking, cameras rolling day and night. But summer of 2025, Annabelle disappeared. Some say it was a shipping mistake. Some say it was a curse. All I know is, I wish I'd never gone looking for her. This is what happened when I followed Annabelle's trail deep into the darkest corners of the internet. Disclaimer: this story is a fictional work. Any resemblance to real people, events, or websites is purely coincidental. Annabelle is a registered character and property of her respective owners, and this story is for entertainment purposes only. The first time I heard about the missing Annabelle doll, I was half awake, scrolling through my phone at 2 in the morning. I saw the headline, "Haunted Annabelle Doll Goes Missing During World Tour, Museum Shocked." It didn't seem real at first. The Annabelle doll, yes, the one from all those scary movies, was actually missing? People online were going crazy. Some said she escaped on her own. Others joked it was a stunt to sell more tickets. I rolled my eyes and kept scrolling, but the story stuck in my mind. My name is Eli Sorensen. I'm 27, live alone in a cramped third-floor apartment, and run a YouTube channel called Paranormal Files. My videos are about haunted objects, internet mysteries, and weird places. Some people think it's all fake. Some get really scared. Most of the time, I try to show what's really going on, even if it's just a creaky old floorboard or a shadow from a cat. But Annabelle was different. I'd made videos about her before, but I'd never actually believed the stories. That night, I sat in my little studio, surrounded by boxes of old gear and shelves stacked with cursed junk, stuff my subscribers had sent me. Broken Ouija boards, weird dolls, a music box that played by itself. Except it only did that when my window was open and the wind blew. It was cold outside and the only light was the glow from my computer and a string of blue fairy lights hanging over my desk. I'm a tall guy, but you wouldn't notice unless I stood up straight, which I rarely do. My hair is always a mess. I wear the same hoodie every day, and my jeans have more holes than denim left. Sometimes when I film, I try to look more put together, but most of my fans say they like me better when I look real, tired, awkward, and maybe a little scared. I don't have a lot of friends in real life. My parents divorced when I was a kid, and I moved around a lot. Most of my connections now are online. Other YouTubers, my best friend Tara, who lives 2 states away, and a bunch of loyal viewers who fill up my comment section with jokes and ghost stories. I like it that way. Less drama, fewer people to disappoint. The night Annabelle disappeared, I couldn't sleep. I started poking around the internet, reading posts from people who swore the doll was calling out to someone. Reddit was full of memes and fake sightings. Discord servers were arguing about whether it was all just hype. My favorite theory was a thread saying Annabelle was headed to Disneyland. Classic internet. But I kept thinking about the headline. The more I read, the stranger I felt. It wasn't fear, just this weird creeping feeling, like someone was watching me from the hallway. I laughed at myself, shook it off, and decided to do what I always do when I'm feeling uneasy. I went looking for more stories. I hadn't been on the dark web in years, not since college when a friend showed me how to use Tor and warned me, don't click on anything weird or you'll get arrested. It sounded like a challenge, but all I found back then were shady stores selling fake passports and some really boring forms. Tonight, though, curiosity got the best of me. I set up a new VPN, double-checked my antivirus, and logged into Tor. My heart beat a little faster. The dark web isn't as scary as people say, but it's easy to get lost. Most of it is just junk, empty sites, scams, places where nothing loads. But then I found a forum I hadn't seen before. The logo was a broken toy chest. The name, The Toy Room. At first I thought it was a joke. Another urban legend page, maybe a place to share creepy pasta stories. But when I clicked on the main page, it was different. Old school design, no ads, just a black background and a weird looping song that sounded like a broken music box. There was a section for missing toys, and right at the top, Annabelle, new owner soon. I clicked the link. The page loaded slowly, flickering, making my laptop fan whir. Then in huge red letters it said, "You are the chosen one, Elias." I froze. My hands went cold. How did it know my name? I hadn't signed in with anything but a fake username. I hadn't given my email, nothing. Below that it said, "Annabelle will find you. Do not try to run." I slammed my laptop shut. For a few minutes I just sat there, heart pounding in my ears. I told myself it was a glitch, maybe a creepy trick with cookies or something. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. I unplugged my computer, wiped my browser history, and tried to forget about it. But the feeling of being watched wouldn't leave. I went to bed late, with all the lights on. The next morning, sunlight poured through the thin curtains and woke me before my alarm. For a second, I almost convinced myself that last night was just a dream. I did my usual routine, checked my phone, scanned YouTube comments, half listened to the radio. No messages from the toy room, nothing about Annabelle except a few more memes on my feed. I thought about telling Tara, but stopped myself. She'd laugh, or worse, worry, and I didn't want to explain why I'd even gone on the dark web again. I told myself to let it go. That afternoon, after filming a quick segment about haunted hotel rooms for next week's video, I heard a knock at the door. Not the quick double tap my neighbor uses, but a slow, heavy knock. I peeked through the peephole. Nobody there. But when I opened the door, a brown package sat on the welcome mat. No return address. My heart thumped. For a minute, I just stared, hoping maybe a neighbor would walk by, make a joke, and break the spell. But the hall was silent. The package was small but heavy, taped tightly. My name was written on top in thick red marker, ELIS. Not Elias, not my YouTube handle, not even Eli Sorensen. Just the nickname only my mom and a handful of old friends ever used. My skin prickled. Back inside, I set up my camera before opening it. Half a habit, half a shield. Filming made things feel less real, like there was a wall between me and whatever might come out. I talked into the camera, trying to sound calm, maybe a little funny, as I cut the tape. Inside was a tangle of old newspaper clippings, the ink faded and smelling faintly of something rotten. Under the clippings, wrapped in a layer of thin pink tissue, was a doll. Not just any doll, Annabelle. She was smaller than I imagined, maybe a foot tall. Her face, round and pale, was painted with a lopsided smile. Her eyes were black beads, shiny but dull, almost scratched. Her hair, dirty blonde yarn, was tangled and frizzy. She wore a faded white dress, stained at the hem, with a red ribbon tied loosely at the waist. She smelled of mildew and dust and something sweet, like old flowers left to rot in a vase. There was a tag on her wrist. It read, in shaky black pen, "Property of the toy room." My hands shook as I turned her over. On her back, someone had stitched a row of numbers, maybe a tracking code, maybe just nonsense. I set her down, trying not to look at her eyes, and tried to breathe. The camera was still rolling. I spoke, my voice wobbling between disbelief and a bad joke. "So guys, this just arrived. If I die, at least there's proof it was Annabelle." A part of me wanted to laugh, to throw her in the trash and call it a day. But another part, deeper, colder, wanted to know who sent her, why they chose me, and how they knew my name. My mind raced through possibilities: a fan prank, a stalker, some kind of elaborate scam. I spent the next few hours filming, unboxing, running tests. I used an EMF reader, which predictably did nothing. I left her in different rooms, checked back to see if she'd moved. I even played a recording of a Catholic prayer, just to see if she'd react. Nothing. It all felt like a weird, over-the-top joke. But every time I left the room, I found myself glancing back, half expecting to see her face turn. That night, I tried to throw her away. I wrapped her up again, marched down the hallway, and stuffed her deep into the dumpster behind the building. I walked back upstairs, feeling stupid for letting a doll get to me. But just before I went to bed, I heard a quiet sound outside my door, a gentle, padded thump, like something soft falling. My mouth went dry. I opened the door. Annabelle sat on the welcome mat, legs stretched, head tilted, staring straight up at me. I didn't film this part. I couldn't. My hands were shaking too much. I left her in the hallway that night, locking the door behind me and stuffing a towel under the crack. I lay awake until sunrise, eyes glued to the gap at the bottom of my door, every creak and sigh of the building making me jump. In the morning, she was gone, but when I went to make coffee, I found her sitting on my kitchen counter, her face turned toward the window, catching the pale light. That day, I called Tara. She picked up on the second ring, her voice warm and familiar. "What's up, Eli? You sound terrible." I explained the whole story, from the dark web forum to the package, to Annabelle showing up where she shouldn't. There was a long pause on the line. "Eli, you know this could be a prank, right?" she said. "Or maybe you just forgot you brought her back inside." I wanted to agree, I really did, but I knew I hadn't, and I knew Tara heard the fear in my voice, even if she didn't say it out loud. "I'll help you look into it," she said finally. "Let's do a reverse image search on the doll, see if it matches the real Annabelle, or if it's a replica. I'll also check forums for any similar stories." We spent hours digging through Reddit, Discord, dark web leak sites. A few people claimed to have gotten packages from the toy room before. Always something old and creepy, never anything as famous as Annabelle. Some said the items moved by themselves. Others said nothing happened, but they felt watched, or their pets started acting strange. I decided to make a full video series out of it. If I was going to be haunted, I might as well get some views. The next 3 days were a blur. I filmed everything: unboxing, experiments, sleep cam footage, voiceover. My subscribers went wild, flooding the comments with dares, theories, and warnings. Some said I was cursed. Others begged to buy the doll from me. One person wrote, "You'll never get rid of her, no matter what you do." I barely slept. The doll moved rooms on her own. Once I found her perched on the edge of my bed facing the wall. Another time, she was in the bathroom, blocking the door. I heard faint music at night, like that broken music box from the toy room page. Sometimes coming from my headphones, sometimes from the apartment below. By the 4th day, I was exhausted and scared. I tried to get rid of her for real this time. I drove across town and left her at a donation bin in front of an old church, watched the sun set as I drove away, trying to feel normal. That night, as I got ready for bed, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. The message was simple: "Look outside." I opened my door. Annabelle was there again, her face lit by the yellow hallway light, looking up at me with that crooked smile. After I found Annabelle back at my door for the 3rd time, something inside me shifted. It was like a cold, invisible hand squeezed my chest every time I looked at her. I knew I couldn't throw her out, and I knew I couldn't ignore her. The days started blending together. I ate less, slept even less, and when I did, my dreams were thick with the smell of mildew and the sound of that music box playing somewhere far away. I brought her inside, trying to act like none of this bothered me. I put her on my desk in the studio, facing the wall so I didn't have to see her face while I edited. I messaged Tara a lot more now. She sent me memes, cat videos, and every once in a while, links to dark web horror stories. She was trying to distract me, but it didn't work. The apartment felt smaller and colder, no matter how many lamps I turned on. My plants drooped, my coffee went cold before I could drink it, and sometimes my laptop would restart for no reason. The comments on my Annabelle video exploded. Some people said I faked everything, that it was just a clever trick. Others were convinced the doll was haunted for real and started sending me prayers and protection spells in DMs. A few people even offered to buy the doll. One guy wanted to trade for a real haunted mirror. Another sent his shipping address with a note: "I'm not scared. Send her to me." I didn't reply to any of them. At night, it got worse. I'd wake up at 3 a.m. every night, always at the same time, heart racing, throat dry. The air would feel thick, and for a few seconds, I'd be sure I heard footsteps outside my bedroom door. More than once, I grabbed my phone, started to call Tara, and stopped myself. What would I even say? "Hey, Annabelle's moving around again. I need you to tell me I'm not crazy." One morning, after another long, sleepless night, I found Annabelle sitting in my kitchen sink, her dress wet and stained. My mind blanked for a second. Had I done this? Sleepwalking? But my shoes and clothes were clean, and there was no sign of water anywhere else. I dried her off and set her in the hallway. She was back in my studio by noon. I tried to distract myself with work. I planned a new video, something easy about urban legends. I reached out to a few other YouTubers, hoping to set up a collaboration or just talk about anything except Annabelle. One guy, Zane, called me up and laughed about the whole thing. "Man, you're going viral, milk it. At least until the doll starts biting." It was meant as a joke, but I couldn't laugh. Between takes, I scrolled through news stories about Annabelle's disappearance from the museum. One piece said security cameras went dark for exactly 11 minutes before anyone noticed the crate was open. Another claimed a night guard quit the next day, refusing to talk about what happened. A few conspiracy threads argued that Annabelle had never left the museum at all, that someone had swapped her with a look-alike, and the real curse was still locked up. Every time I read those, I felt a little better. Maybe I just had a fake. Maybe it was just an elaborate prank. But then the dreams started. They were always the same. I was walking through empty rooms in a building I'd never seen, carrying the doll under my arm. The walls were covered in peeling wallpaper, stained brown and red, and the only sound was that distant music box melody. Sometimes someone would be watching me from the corner, a shadow with long, thin arms, or a little girl with tangled hair. I'd always wake up before I reached the end of the hall, heart pounding, sweat cooling on my skin. It was on the fourth night that my phone buzzed with another message from the unknown number. "Don't fight it. She's yours now." I deleted it, but the words kept echoing in my head. I started carrying Annabelle with me, just to keep an eye on her. I set up cameras in every room, live streaming for my subscribers. They loved it. The chat scrolled faster than I could read, people pointing out when her hand moved or her head tilted. I told myself it was just the wind or a camera glitch. But every night something happened to prove me wrong. Sometimes the lights flickered. Other times doors slammed or dishes rattled in the cupboard. My cat, Bean, refused to come inside anymore, yowling at the window until I let him back out. I called Tara again. "I can't get rid of her. I've tried everything." She was silent for a moment, then said, "You need to do a cleanse. I'll walk you through it." That night we set up candles and salt circles in the studio, following instructions from a dozen websites. I laughed at myself, feeling silly, but I was desperate. We did the ritual on video for my audience. For a while, nothing happened. But at the end, the candles all went out at once, and a cold wind swept through the room, strong enough to knock the doll over. Everyone in the chat started typing, "She's angry." After that, Annabelle started moving even more. I'd find her in new places every morning, sometimes sitting on the edge of my bed, sometimes staring out the window. One day she was in the shower, her face pressed against the glass. The smell of mildew grew stronger. And then, my old bully from high school, Trent Harker, turned up dead. I saw the headline online, "Local man dies in freak car accident." I hadn't spoken to Trent in years, but we'd exchanged a few messages on Facebook last month. He'd found my YouTube channel and left a few nasty comments, nothing serious. But the night before he died, I'd had a nightmare. Annabelle sitting at the end of my bed, whispering his name over and over, her voice raspy and high. I told Tara. She tried to calm me down, told me it was just a coincidence. But I didn't believe her. I started to wonder who would be next. Would it be me? Tara? Someone else from my past? Every time I tried to throw Annabelle out, she came back faster. The unknown number started messaging me every day. "It's your turn." I kept filming, hoping the videos would help, or at least make sense of what was happening. My subscribers kept watching, kept sending advice, but nothing helped. I was trapped, and Annabelle was always there, waiting, smiling, eyes following me everywhere I went. I tried to hold myself together, to keep my channel and my real life separate, but Annabelle made that impossible. Every day I woke up more tired. My face in the mirror grew thinner, my eyes ringed dark, like I hadn't slept in weeks. Even my voice on camera sounded smaller. My videos got shorter, editing sloppier. I caught myself glancing over my shoulder, even when I knew I was alone. The comments on my channel changed too. Some people said I looked haunted. Others begged me to end the series, to burn the doll or move away. A few started rumors, accusing me of faking the whole thing for clout, But even those messages sounded scared sometimes, like viewers could sense something was wrong, even through their screens. Sometimes I'd watch my own footage, frame by frame, to prove to myself that I hadn't imagined things. In one video, Annabelle's head turned slightly between cuts, even though I swore I hadn't touched her. In another, the audio glitched, and for a few seconds I heard a voice whispering words I couldn't make out, layered over the background music. My hands would shake, sweat breaking out on my neck as I rewound again and again. I started to feel like she was creeping into my dreams, my work, my mind. I stopped inviting people over. My neighbors complained about strange noises, footsteps running down the hallway, late-night whispers, lights flickering in the stairwell. The super came by once, asking if I was having parties. I just laughed, but his face showed he didn't believe me. He looked over my shoulder into the apartment, like he expected to see something moving in the shadows. Tara called almost every day, her voice tight with worry. "Eli, I think you should stay somewhere else for a while. Just get out, clear your head." I wanted to, but it felt like Annabelle would follow me anywhere. I told her I'd be fine, but even I didn't believe it anymore. That week, something changed in the way Annabelle acted. She started appearing with objects from my past. One morning, I found her sitting on top of an old yearbook I hadn't seen in years. Another time, she clutched a faded photo of me and my dad at the state fair. The worst was when I woke up to find her holding my old asthma inhaler, the one I lost in 6th grade. The same one I blamed my worst bully, Trent, for stealing. A chill ran down my spine. How could she have found it? Had someone broken in? Or was Annabelle really doing this, pulling my memories into the open, making me face things I tried to forget? I tried burning her again. I set up my camera in the alley, poured lighter fluid over her dress, and dropped a match. The flame caught, hissed, and burned bright for a few seconds, then died. The doll, covered in soot, was unharmed. My hands shook so badly, I had to lean against the wall to catch my breath. I took her back upstairs. What else could I do? That night, Tara convinced me to do a live stream Q&A. Maybe talking to people would help. We set up a split screen. She sat in her cozy room, cats sleeping behind her, plants glowing in the warm lamplight. I sat in my studio, the shadows thick around me. For the first half hour, it almost felt normal. We joked, read out questions, shared old stories about pranks and failed investigations. Then someone in the chat posted, "Who's the girl behind Eli?" My blood ran cold. Tara froze, eyes darting over my shoulder. I don't see anyone," she said, forcing a smile. The chat exploded. "She just moved. Eli, check your closet. Is that Annabelle?" I spun my camera around, heart hammering. The closet door was open a crack. I walked over, phone in hand, live stream still running. Inside on the floor sat Annabelle. Next to her, a pair of tiny shoes, mine from when I was a toddler. The laces tied together in a clumsy knot. I hadn't seen those shoes in over 20 years. The chat went wild. Tara whispered, "Eli, end the stream. Please." I ended it, sat on the floor, and stared at the doll for a long time. My breath came in short, panicked bursts. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt empty, like all my fear had drained out, leaving only numbness. After that, my apartment felt even less like home. I moved Annabelle to a box in the closet, locked the door, and taped it shut. But every morning she'd be somewhere else. On my pillow, at my desk, in the fridge once, clutching a piece of leftover pizza. I stopped filming. My subscribers noticed right away, filling my inbox with worried messages. Some offered to come help, others sent prayers or advice, or demanded to know if I was okay. The only person I answered was Tara. She asked me to come visit her, just for a weekend, to get away. I finally agreed. Maybe distance would break the spell. I packed a small bag, avoided looking at Annabelle, and left the apartment before sunrise. The air was cold and clean outside, the city just starting to wake up. I walked to the bus stop, heart pounding with every step, afraid I'd turn around and see her following me. The trip to Terror City took hours. Every time I checked my bag, half expecting to find Annabelle inside, she wasn't. My phone buzzed with more messages from the unknown number. I ignored them, tried to sleep, pressed my head against the cold window, and watched the world slide by. When I arrived at Tara's, she hugged me so tight I almost cried. Her apartment was bright and safe, full of plants, cat hair, and the smell of fresh bread. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. We talked about everything except Annabelle at first. Old friends, movies, plans for the channel. That night, Tara made up the guest room. I slept deeply, without nightmares. But when I woke up, there was a box on the bedside table. My name on it in thick red marker, ELIS. Inside, nestled in pink tissue, was Annabelle. Tara's apartment was always filled with soft light and gentle noise. The purr of her 2 cats, the hum of a little fan, the quiet creak of old hardwood floors. It was the kind of place that usually made me feel safe, a world away from my dim apartment and its growing shadows. But as I stared down at the open box on the bedside table, the warmth vanished. My skin prickled with fear and confusion. There she was, again. Annabelle, looking almost smug as she sat half buried in pink tissue, her dress as dirty and faded as ever, but her eyes somehow brighter, more watchful. Tara appeared in the doorway, a mug of tea in each hand, her hair up in a messy bun, and her glasses slightly crooked. She was shorter than me by a head, quick-moving and always full of energy, a sort of nervous fire. But seeing the look on my face, she stopped in her tracks. "What's wrong, Eli?" I just pointed to the box. She set the mugs down slowly and peered over my shoulder. "No way, no, freaking way!" She actually stepped back, like she expected the doll to jump up and bite her. Neither of us spoke for a moment. The cats, usually curious about everything, gave the box a wide berth, tails puffed and eyes fixed on Annabelle, like she was a snake. "She followed you here?" Tara said, her voice quiet and tight. I left her locked up in my closet. I don't even have a key to your building," I said, my words shaking. "How did she get here?" Tara ran a hand through her hair, her mouth set in a hard line. "Okay, this is way past a prank. You're not the only one seeing her. This is real." She moved around the room, picking up her phone, unplugging her laptop, checking the window locks. It was a thing she did when she was nervous, always in motion, always trying to fix things. We sat on the floor, backs against the bed, the box between us. I watched Annabelle, half expecting her to blink or move. Tara watched me. "Eli, tell me everything, from the beginning. Don't leave anything out." So I did. I told her about the toy room, the messages, the strange dreams, the impossible returns. I told her about Trent's death, about finding things from my past, about how tired I was, how scared I was to sleep. Tara listened, her knees pulled to her chest, biting her lip. She didn't interrupt, just nodded every so often, her eyes darting between me and the doll. When I finished, she said, "We need to document everything, like not just for your channel, for us. If something happens, if this goes bad, I want people to know what really happened." We set up her camera, started recording. She asked questions, made me walk through the timeline. I noticed how her hands shook when she picked up Annabelle. She wore gloves just in case. That night, we barely slept. I kept the doll on the other side of the room, but every time I closed my eyes, I imagined her crawling across the floor, climbing up onto the bed. At 2 a.m., Tara woke me up, her face pale in the dark. "She moved," she whispered. "I heard her. She was by the door a minute ago. Now she's gone." We found Annabelle sitting on the living room couch. The remote in her lap pointed at the TV. The TV was on, static hissing softly in the silent room. My skin crawled. We turned off the TV, put Annabelle back in the box, taped it shut, and locked it in Tara's storage closet. In the morning, the box was back on the kitchen table, open. Annabelle was sitting on top of Tara's laptop, a Word document open behind her. The words on the screen made my blood freeze. "You must go back to the toy room." I looked at Tara. She looked at me. We both knew what we had to do. We spent that day digging deeper than ever before. We pulled up every old chat log, every message from the toy room, every photo of the doll. We combed through forums, searched for others with stories like mine. A few people told similar tales. Dolls, toys, objects that returned no matter how far you sent them. One post from a year ago ended abruptly, the user account deleted. Others were full of warnings. Don't answer messages, don't open the door, don't play along. That night, we made a decision. We'd go back to the dark web. We'd find the toy room, or whoever ran it. We'd get answers, or try. I set up my old laptop, installed Tor, and logged in. Tara hovered over my shoulder, flashlight in hand, even though the power was still on. My heart thudded in my chest as I typed in the address. The site looked the same, old, broken, playing that creepy music box tune. Only now a new message flashed across the screen. Welcome back, Eli. Are you ready for your next task? The glow of Tara's laptop painted us both in nervous, sickly blue light as we stared at the new message pulsing on the toy room site. Welcome back, Eli. Are you ready for your next task? Neither of us spoke for a long moment. The music box melody looped, unnerving in its childish sweetness. Tara's breath was shallow, and I felt her shiver beside me. My hands hovered over the keyboard, every instinct screaming to close the browser and never look back. But Annabelle was sitting quietly on the table, her bead-black eyes shining in the laptop's light, as if daring me to keep going. Finally, Tara spoke, her voice a rasp. Type something, anything. My fingers shook. What do you want from me? I typed. The screen glitched, then a new message appeared. The doll must choose a soul to bind. You were chosen. The chain must not break. Tara pressed her hand to her mouth, her eyes wide. That sounds like a threat, she whispered. How do I break the chain? I typed, swallowing hard. The site flickered again, and a new page loaded. On it was a single sentence. Pass her on, or stay with her until the end. Tara leaned closer. This is some kind of game, like the chain letter curses, but real. We scrolled further. There were comments, threads from other people, each one telling a similar story. Receiving an object, trying to get rid of it, only to find it returned. Some described nightmares, pets going missing, sudden illnesses in the family. One post stopped mid-sentence. The account was deleted. Tara scrolled through the comments, her face tense. It's a test, she muttered. They want you to give Annabelle to someone else, to save yourself. I shook my head. I can't do that. I can't curse another person, not even a stranger. We sat in silence, the only sound the low hum of the laptop's fan and the music box melody leaking from the speakers. Then the site refreshed again. A pop-up appeared. She will leave when you name the next recipient. Refuse, and she will take someone you love. Tara's eyes met mine, wide and fearful. Don't type anyone's name, Eli. Don't you dare. But my mind raced. Was that what happened to Trent? Had someone before me passed Annabelle on, knowingly or not? Was that why I kept dreaming about the people from my past? Bullies, friends, even my family? I turned to Tara. Maybe if we destroy the site, hack it somehow, we can break the chain. She nodded, grabbing her phone. I know someone who can help. Zane, the tech guy from your Discord server. She dialed him, putting him on speaker. His voice came through, fuzzy but excited. You guys finally need my help with something real? Sweet. Send me the link. We explained everything. The toy room, Annabelle, the messages. Zane was skeptical, but agreed to poke around. Give me a day or two, he said. If it's a server I can get into, maybe I can trace whoever's running this, or at least shut it down. The next 2 days passed in a blur. We kept Annabelle locked in Tara's old storage trunk, duct tape and all. We barely left the apartment, afraid she'd appear somewhere else. The cats hid in the bedroom, eyes round and nervous. At night, the dreams grew darker. I'd see the doll sitting at the foot of my bed, holding photos of people I knew. Tara, my mom, even random old classmates. Sometimes I woke up to Tara screaming, convinced she'd seen Annabelle crawling across the ceiling. Every morning there was a new message from the site, waiting in my inbox no matter how many times I blocked it. Time is running out, name your replacement. Zane messaged us late the second night. Okay guys, this site is wild. It uses relay servers all over the world, constantly shifting. Whoever's running it is really smart, or really paranoid. But I found something weird. There's a list of usernames. Most are deleted, but a few are active. Yours is on there, Eli. So is someone called Dollkeeper and Tara Shade. He paused. That's your username, Tara. She went pale. I've never even visited the site before you showed it to me. Zane's voice dropped. I don't know what you're mixed up in, but this isn't just a creepy prank. My advice? Walk away, smash the laptop, burn the doll. Just don't play their game. But the next morning, Annabelle was sitting on top of Tara's laptop again, even though it had been locked away. The Word document was open. This time, a message was waiting. Last chance. Choose or she will choose for you. Tara started to cry. She hid her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking. I can't do this anymore, Eli. I can't. What if she picks me? I put my arm around her, my own eyes stinging. I won't let that happen. We'll figure something out. There's always a way. But in my heart, I felt the walls closing in. I thought about all the stories I'd read on the toy room. People trying to outsmart the curse, all of them failing. I wondered how many had just given up and typed someone's name, passing the horror on. The day dragged by. Tara barely spoke. I kept checking my phone, waiting for a message from Zane or from the site. Every time I left the room, I half expected to find Annabelle gone or waiting somewhere new. At midnight, the site flashed with one final message. It is done. A list appeared, usernames scrolling past, vanishing one by one. At the very bottom, a new name appeared in red. Tara Shade. Tara's phone buzzed. She picked it up, hands trembling. She stared at the screen, her lips moving silently as she read. Then she looked up at me, her face hollow with terror. She picked me. Annabelle was sitting at her feet, smiling. The silence in Tara's apartment was crushing. Her phone slipped from her hand, clattering onto the kitchen tiles. For a second, she didn't move. I knelt down and took her shoulders in my hands, but she wouldn't look at me. Her gaze fixed on Annabelle, who sat just inches away, small and silent. Her head tilted as if she was listening to something only she could hear. Tara, listen to me, I whispered, my voice cracking. We're not going to let her win. You're not alone. But Tara's hands were shaking. I saw the tears on her cheeks. The way her jaw was clenched so tight, I thought she might bite through her own words. Finally, she said, what if she never leaves Eli? What if she just keeps choosing until there's no one left? I tried to answer, but nothing I said would have meant anything. The whole apartment felt different, darker, colder, the corners suddenly deeper, as if the walls had shifted while we weren't watching. Even the cats were gone, hidden under the bed or in the back of closets, as far from Annabelle as they could get. That night, Tara barely slept. I heard her pacing the living room, her footsteps light but restless. When I got up, I found her sitting at the table with Annabelle on her lap, stroking the doll's hair with slow, shaking fingers. She looked up as I entered, her eyes red and glassy. I tried to throw her out, she said, but she was waiting at the door when I came back. I can't get rid of her, Eli. She's mine now. I felt something break inside me, a mixture of guilt, helplessness, and a white-hot anger that I didn't know what to do with. I thought about smashing Annabelle to pieces, burning her, drowning her in cement. But I knew deep down it wouldn't matter. She would come back. She always came back. After breakfast, Tara made tea, her hands steady for the first time in days. Let's make one last video, she said. We'll show everyone what's happening. Maybe someone out there knows how to end it. Maybe the truth will help someone else, even if it doesn't help us. We set up the cameras in the living room, trying to act normal for the audience. Tara was quiet but determined, telling the story from the beginning. The toy room, the messages, Annabelle's returns, the nightmares. She showed her phone, read the messages on camera, even lifted Annabelle into her lap and turned her slowly so the viewers could see the numbers stitched on her back. I watched her closely, searching for some sign that she was still the same Tara I'd known for years. She was, and she wasn't. She'd grown distant. Her smile was gone, her laughter replaced by a heavy sadness. I hated myself for dragging her into this, for not listening sooner. When the video ended, we uploaded it straight to the channel. No edits, no music. Within minutes, the comments section filled with hundreds of replies. Some were supportive, some were scared, some offered advice, rituals, numbers for priests or psychics. A few were cruel, calling us liars, attention seekers, or worse. But one comment stood out. a username we didn't recognize. Doll Keeper. The message was short. If you want to break the chain, you must make a sacrifice. The doll will only leave if you offer her something she's never had. Love. Or you can pass her on and save yourself. We stared at the comment, Tara biting her lip, tears rolling down her face. Love? Is that a joke? She asked, her voice trembling. How do you love something like this? I had no answer, but something about the message stuck with me. What if Annabelle was more than just a curse, a spirit looking for something it never had? I remembered old stories about haunted objects, vengeful ghosts who were finally calmed by forgiveness, compassion, or closure. Maybe it was crazy, but we had nothing left to lose. That night, we tried something new. Tara held Annabelle in her lap, arms wrapped tight around the doll. She whispered kind words, told her stories about her childhood, her fears, her dreams. She told Annabelle she forgave her, that she hoped she'd find peace. I watched, heart pounding, not knowing if it would work or just make things worse. The air in the apartment seemed to grow heavier, thicker, the shadows pressing in around us. Then, for the first time, I saw tears on Annabelle's plastic cheeks. At first, I thought it was a trick of the light, a glint from the lamp. But Tara gasped too, and we both leaned closer. There, in the doll's eyes, tiny beads of moisture shimmered in the pale glow. A cold wind swept through the apartment, rattling the windows. The lights flickered. For a split second, I thought I saw a little girl's face superimposed over Annabelle's, her eyes sad but hopeful. She smiled, just once, then faded away. The apartment was silent again. The weight in the air lifted. Tara and I sat frozen, afraid to move. In the morning, Annabelle was gone. No note, no goodbye. Just an empty box on the table, the pink tissue paper crumpled and cold. We checked every room, every drawer, every shadow. She wasn't there. The cats crept out of hiding, meowed, and curled up in the sunlight like nothing had happened. Tara hugged me, sobbing into my shoulder. She's really gone, Eli. I think we did it. For the first time in weeks, I let myself hope. Maybe it was over. Maybe the chain was broken at last. But that night, as I scrolled through my messages, a new notification appeared from an unknown number. Thank you. I am free now. Someone else will tell her story. And far away, somewhere in another city, another box arrived on another doorstep, waiting for someone new to open it. Days passed. The air in Tara's apartment slowly returned to normal. Sunlight felt warm again. The cat stopped hiding. Neither of us spoke much about Annabelle. We were afraid to even say her name, as if that alone could summon her back. The box with its pink tissue paper remained on the table for a while, until Tara finally folded it up and threw it away. I went home, hugging Tara before I left. We promised to check in every day. I tried to pick up my old routines, answer messages, film again, but I always felt like someone was watching me, just out of sight. Every creak in my apartment made my heart race. I never stopped glancing at the doorway, half expecting to see her crooked smile in the shadows. The comments kept coming on our last video. Hundreds of viewers desperate for an update, some relieved, some convinced it wasn't really over. Did you really break the curse? Where's the doll now? Are you safe? I didn't know how to answer. One night, just as I was drifting off to sleep, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. I squinted at the screen, heart thumping hard in my chest. It was a new email from unknown Sandra the Toy, Room Onion. Subject, welcome. No message, just a single attachment, a blurry photograph. I hesitated, then tapped it open. The image loaded slowly, pixel by pixel. It showed a dark room, a box on a table. The lid was open. Inside, wrapped in crumpled pink tissue, was Annabelle. Her glassy eyes seemed to stare right through the screen. At the bottom, typed in red letters, was a single sentence. Your turn. Before I could move, a knock sounded at my door. 3 slow, heavy raps, echoing in the silent apartment. I held my breath, frozen. Outside, something waited.